And I think too many people focus on the X's and O's, right? It's like, here's what we're offering, here's the price, here's the ROI, where really people, and we always talk about this too, is creating that feeling. If people don't feel something with it, you can give them all the data you want, and they're like, I don't get it, right? But as soon as they start to feel it, and they kind of visualize in their own mind, like, I understand that, right? And it's funny that you went from life insurance now to kind of selling such a creative thing, but it all relates. It's very similar.
Right? And there's so many like parallels. I mean, I used to create, quote unquote, when I was younger. Like that's what I wanted to do. I was always into arts and crafts. Like my sister and I like always were drawing and doing stuff. But I grew up in a culture where I didn't think creating was an actual profession. Like I didn't think I could make a living out of being able to be a designer or like, you know, customizing the way a user interface kind of works. I was kind of just like, I need to get something that has great benefits and is a 9 to 5 and like, I don't have to worry about anything, has a 401k. And I went that route and I was good at it, you know, but I never had a connection to it. You know, I think I can sell myself with design and with what I do because I'm more connected to it now. And once I got back into it, I see it everywhere. The shirt that you're wearing, your watch, your sneakers, like design. We're sitting on someone's design. We're in a room that someone designed with colors and everything around us has been designed by someone. And it sounds like super hippie to say, but I cannot help it. I see it everywhere. It changed the way that I lived and the way that I interacted with it. I found my wife in school because we were both designers. So like I have such a connection to it that it also makes it a little easier to sell myself.
For sure. Yeah, because people feel your passion, right? And that's what I love too. Is energy is so contagious.
Oh my God!
You know what I mean? So
I love the fact that you use energy. Like I flow off of energy. Like I feel like when we are on the same page, like we are vibrating at the same frequency, and that's all energy. Like it sounds super hippie, but I completely believe it. I had bad energy at one point in my life and things kind of sucked. And once I shifted my focus and kind of channeled more, you know, other types of energy and like just positivity, like everything changed.
No, definitely. And I think even in client meetings, whether it's a current client or you're looking to sell them, you have to be responsible for that energy. Because if you go in there and you're like, we got this and that, and again, you're going through your presentation, and then you come on and they're like, I don't know why that meeting wasn't great. It's because you didn't bring the energy.
That's what they accepted. They kind of fed off of what energy you brought into the room.
And it doesn't mean you have to be hoop and hollering and like loud. It just means you need to bring whatever energy you want to really, you know, have coming from that client. You need to bring it first.
Absolutely.
You know? Now, what about, because this is something from design that I think is always tough. So you have this design eye, which a lot of your clients may not have. So sometimes there's going to be times where you have to push back on what the client thinks that they want, because it's really what's best for the client long term. So how do you manage that? Because there's a little bit of finesse, I'm sure, that goes into that discussion.
So, I mean, there's always going to be some kind of like push and pull. And at the end of the day, the client is the client. Like I don't get to decide what goes up. What I find best is actually just bringing examples of why your point of view is, you know, more in line with what you think or feel that the client should kind of see. There are other times where clients just don't see that value, but I find that it's easier to kind of point them in the direction of like, these are some successful, you know, showcases of what I'm talking about. These are successful examples. And then have that client kind of draw their own conclusion from that. Because it's hard to kind of argue with success. If someone is saying, hey, this is, you know, this is the way that I presented it. This is why I presented it. This is why I've seen it work in other places. And a client's like, I kind of just want what I want. It's for one of two reasons. The client has more success in their field than the designer might know. Or two, the client is stubborn. And it's fine either way. It's not a problem because, you know, again, as I said, the client is the client, but you want to give the client as much ammunition as possible to let them do and make the most informed decision they can. That's, I find, the easiest kind of way to work through it. there are times where a client just wants what they want, and you have to present it to them. You want to present even a bad idea in the best way possible, and then let the client sit with it.
Right.
You know, they might change their mind. They might see, you know what, I understand. Now that I see exactly what I was asking for, I understand why designer XYZ was telling me this.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, they don't use that finesse when they present it, and they're just like, you should do this. The client thinks you should do, and then you're just butting heads,
Yeah.
right? But if you say, you put in the extra work, and you're like, actually, all these examples are showcases of why it's successful. And basically, because you and I have already identified the targets and the goal, that's why I'm recommending this.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
This is as close to your target as possible.
Exactly. But I'm sure it's tough because, you know, the other side is there's a lot of people, and I'm sure in your space too, that just say, yes, whatever you want, yes, even if it's not in the best interest of the client. And then long term, that client comes back and like, this isn't working. Well, yeah, I knew that, but I never said anything.
Yeah, I mean, the way you manage, and actually, a lot of times it actually kind of just boils down to the way you present your idea. That kind of makes the most sense, because you don't want to lose a relationship because of the fact that you are a designer. Even if you know what you're presenting is the absolute end all be all of what you're trying to hit, and the client doesn't want to see it, it doesn't matter. If you present it in a bad way, you could lose the relationship. You could burn a bridge. Mm-hmm. You know, the flip side of that is doing that and you actually burn the bridge. And if it's not successful, the client blames you. Right. It's your design. Even though you gave me everything that I wanted, the reason and the way that you did it is why it's not working.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of tough too. But again, I think everything just boils down to your relationship. The way you handle your relationship, the way you communicate these points is, you know, the way that you're going to get that feedback.